本当の袖の白雪だ。袖の白雪の本当の力を引き出せるようになったとはいえ、まだ体をなじませるのに時間がかかる。袖の白雪は所有者自身の肉体を氷点以下にする残白。でも勝つ。八下の咎め。
Yo, what's up guys, Sobi from the Master Box Show, and I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Have you ever wanted a character that can control wide areas to your team's advantage, has the ability to rain down death and destruction to your enemies using the power of ice? Well, that is the theme for today's build, control and ice damage. We are building the most powerful AOE ice mage that we can, that has the ability to CC heaps of enemies with its amazing control spells. Not only that, it has the most destructive ice AOEs in the game. This build goes online really early, around level 5 and 6 for your honor mode play or your solo builds to dominate the battlefield. Shoutouts to the Rob version 1 for the build theory and inspiration. Timestamps are in the description if you guys want to skip to a certain topic that you want to focus on. Without further ado, I present to you the Cryo Mage. Enjoy. Alright, here we are now guys in our character creation screen. This is where we will be building the foundation of our Cryomancer for today. There are two races that are interesting for the build, starting with the Elf and the Dwarf. For the Dwarf, there is a particular sub-race that we need for this to be really effective, which is the Dweger race. The Dweger is a really particular race as it has sub-race features such as superior dark vision as well as a Dweger resilience, which will grant advantages on saving throws against illusion and charmed or paralyzed. While the Elf grants us proficiencies in elven weapon training, which is longsword, short bow and longbow, dark vision, and Fey ancestry, which will grant us advantages in saving throws against charmed and sleep. In my case, I'll just go with the Dwarf, particularly the Dweger for today's build. But if you want to go with the Elf race, you can go Elf and get the sub-race feature, which is the Wood Elf version. That will provide us the sub-race feature, Fleet of Foot. For the classes, we'll be starting off with the most powerful spellcaster in the game, which is the Sorcerer. Aside from granting us proficiencies in daggers and quarterstaff as well as light crossbows, we are eyeing on a subclass feature which is the Draconic Bloodline, which will provide us with subclass features such as hit points as well as resiliences. For the Dragon Ancestry, we will be taking Dragon Ancestry Silver for us to get a really nice passive around level 6, which will provide us with resistances for cold damage. For the cantrips, I highly advise you get Ray of Frost. This will grant us a free ice spell every single time we cast it, and this will be the bread and butter cantrip that we'll be using for this build. For the other one is Acid Splash, and the last two is the Dancing Light and the Light. For the spells, I'll just go with Chromatic Orb, as it has an ice version that we can use. For the next one is I highly advise you get the Ice Knife. This will be the higher source of DPS for you in terms of ice damage in the early levels. For the background, there are two backgrounds that are interesting for the build, starting with the Folk Hero and the Guild Artisan. This will provide us skills in Insight and Persuasion, while the Folk Hero grants us Animal Handling and Survival. For today's build, I'll just go with the Guild Artisan, as Persuasion is a really nice skill to have. For the abilities, most likely it will look like this. We'll be prioritizing with Charisma. This will grant us proficiencies in our Charisma checks, as well as proficiency bonus with our spells later on the levels. Second is Dexterity. This will affect our initiative and AC. Most likely we will be needing as much initiative as we can so that we have advantages and prep the battlefield to our favor. Finally, Constitution. This will affect our Constitution checks as well as preventing concentration break whenever we are hit by enemies. Right after character creation, which is level 2 of our character, we are starting with something really interesting as early as this level, because we are introducing another class to the mix, which is the Warlock class. We are eyeing on a subclass feature that is the Fiend, as well as granting us some spells such as Armor of Agathis and the Arms of Adar. But for me, I'll just take out the Armor of Agathis as we will be taking command for this level. For the cantrips, you can just take Eldritch Blast and a really nice spell, Minor Illusion, that will go really well with our race feature. Level 3 of our character, which is level 2 of our Warlock, we'll just try to continue in our Warlock tree. We are eyeing on unlocking a particular spell that we need later on the levels. For this level, we unlock our Eldritch Blast invocation, and we will be taking Agonizing Blast that will add our Charisma modifier to our Eldritch Blast, as well as Repelling Blast to push our enemies 4.5 meters away from us. For the spells, you can just take Hex if you want, or maybe a Charm Person spell. Level 3 of our Warlock, we just unlock our first set of Pact Boons, which we will be selecting our Pact of the Chain, the Imp and the Quasit. You can actually get maybe the Tome, but I highly advise you just go with the Chain so that we have a really nice summon that we can use, particularly as a meat shield. These summons can also go invisible for them to surprise enemies if you like. For the spells, you can just get the spell Hold Person for this level. Level 4 of our Warlock, we just unlock a few cantrips, but the most important thing here is the feat. For the feat, we'll be taking the Alert feat. This will grant us 5 bonus to our initiative and can't be surprised. The reason for this is to have top priority whenever we are in battle for us to prep the battlefield to our favor. For the spells, you can just get Cloud of Daggers for the early levels and replace it later on, but for me, I'll just go with Misty Step for those additional repositioning abilities. For the cantrips, you can just get Friend for this level, but depending on your preference, you can just get anything that you want. Level 6 of our character, this is our first power spike of the build, which will make our Cryomancer really powerful for this level. Still focusing on our Warlock class, we will be getting our class feature, which is the Pact of the Change, giving us additional attack for our familiars, as well as free Animate Dead, Haste and Call Lightning spell per long rest. But the most important thing here that we need is the Hunger of Hadar. This is a really nice AOE spell that will blind enemies, as well as dealing 2d6 cold and a 2d6 acid damage. For the Eldritch Invocation, you can just get any invocation that you prefer. I'll just go with Mire the Mind. Now for level 7 of our character, we are now going back to our Sorcerer class for us to focus all of our levels to this powerful caster. So for this level, we unlock our class passives, and we will be taking Meta Magic Twin spell that will basically grant us an additional target with our spell, and we can just get distant if we prefer. This will grant range for our spells around 50%, and our melee spells will get additional of 9 meters. For the spells, I'll get the most important spell for any spellcaster class, which is Shield. Level 8, which is level 3 of our Sorcerer, gaining a few class features such as sorcery points, and the most important class passive that we will be needing for the build, which is the Quicken spell. This will basically grant us the ability to use our bonus action instead of our main action when we use a spell. For the spells, I'll just go with the spell Blindness just for additional debuffs to the target. Level 9, which is level 4 of our Sorcerer, still getting a few sorcery classes as well as a few spells, but the most important thing here is the feat. You can actually go with ability improvement for this and dump it everything to charisma. If you have the hair from Anti-Ethel, most likely this will be around 20, but for my case, I'll be taking the Dual Wielder feat. This will basically grant us the ability to dual wield 2 weapons even if they aren't light, and gain 1 bonus AC while we are wielding 2 melee weapons in each hand. For the spells, we'll just get any spells that you prefer. I'll just go with Knock. Level 10 of our character, which is level 5 of our Sorcerer, unlocking a few class features and a spell. This is the level that we will be taking Counter Spell, but if ever you like, you can get Sleet Storm, but the problem here, it is a concentration spell, and the most important concentration spell that we need is already the Hunger of Adar, so we won't be using a lot of Sleet Storm, so we will just be taking Counter Spell. Now for level 11 of our character, which is level 6 of our Sorcerer, we now unlock class features, which is really important for the build. Basically, an elemental affinity damage that will add our charisma modifier to the specific element that we are casting, which is ice element, as well as elemental affinity resistance. We can spend 1 sorcery point to gain resistance to that specific damage type, which is cold damage. For the spells, you can get haste, which is a really nice spell that will go with our twin magic for the sorcerer, and hypnotic pattern if you want to add that additional CC to your opponents. Finally, level 7 of our sorcerer. We now unlock our final spell of the build in the form of the Ice Storm. This is the overall most powerful ice spell in the game because of its really large AOE, and the amount of damage that it can deal out is insane. And it also grants 2 turns of ice, which makes difficult terrain, movement speed is half, and also enemies may fall prone for a turn. Alright guys, and now I'm going to be showing you the item setup that you need for the build. And I will be showcasing 2 builds for you guys today, starting with the Act 1 and Act 2 build, which is the early game, and the Act 3 build, which is the end game. What's really cool about the Cryomancer is that it goes online pretty early, around level 6. And most of the items that you will be needing for the build can be unlocked in the early levels. We're going to be starting with the Cold Brim Hat, which will grant us the passive Cold Brim Chill. Once per turn, any condition inflicted into a target also applies 2 turns of Encrusted with Frost. If you don't know guys, Encrusted with Frost is a condition that affects the enemies and gives them advantages in dexterity saving throws. When there are 7 or more turns remaining, the entity has to succeed the Constitution saving throws or take a 1 to 4 damage and become frozen. Next up is the Potent Robe. This will grant us a passive Gregarious Caster. Our cantrips will deal an additional damage equal to our charisma modifier. Third is the Winter's Clutches. This is our themed gloves in the early game, which will provide us Winter's Clutches passive. When the wearer deals cold damage, we inflict 2 turns of Encrusted with Frost on the target. What's really cool about this is Winter's Clutches and the Cold Brim Hat stacks, so you can get 2 turns of Encrusted from the hat and 2 turns from the gloves. Hoarfrost Boots. This will grant us Hoarfrost balance. We cannot fall prone while traversing icy terrain. For the rings, we are going for the Snowburst Ring. This will grant us the passive Snowburst. When the wearer deals cold damage, they also create 4.5 meters icicle of ice around the target. What's really cool about this is that it affects Ray of Frost. And finally, for the rings, which is our beloved Callous Glow ring that will provide us with Callous Glow, we will deal additional 2 points of damage against creatures that are eliminated. Finally, we're talking about the weapons, the only weapon that is really powerful in the early game for our build, which is the Morning Frost. This will grant 2 to 12 damage, that is 1d8 for bludgeoning and a 1d4 for cold. But the most important thing here is we get the Heart of Ice passive. When we deal cold damage, the wielder will deal additional 1 cold damage to the enemies, as well as the Insidious Cold. Dealing cold damage with a spell will possibly inflict Chilled upon the target. Chilled is a condition that will increase the damage of our cold spell to a target. Now I'm going to be showing you guys the Act 3 build in order for us to really make our Cryomancer as powerful as possible. Starting with the Cloak of the Weave. This will grant us Arcane Enchantment plus 1 bonus to our spell save DC, as well as our spell attack rolls. Next up is one of the most important Act 4 items that you will get for the Cryomancer, which is the Spell Might Glove. This will grant us the passive Spell Might. When we cast a spell that requires an attack roll, you can take -5 penalty to the roll to deal an additional 1d8 damage. What's really cool about these gloves is that it goes really well with our Ice Storm, because 1d8 damage from this glove applies to all spell damage type. That means that Ice Storm has 2 damage type. 1d8 damage will be distributed to the bludgeoning damage, as well as a 1d8 damage addition to the cold, which is awesome. Next is the Amulet of the Devout. This will grant us high spell casting that will give us +2 bonus to our spell save DC. And finally, for the weapons, we're gonna be getting the Marco Heshkir legendary weapon, giving us Arcane Enchantment, which is an additional spell save DC. In addition to that, we get the Arcane Battery, which will provide us, basically giving us the ability to cast a spell of whatever level that we prefer for free. But the most important thing that we need here is Kreshka's Favor. This will grant us proficiencies in what element that we prefer, as well as a few resistances to that element and additional spells until long rest. Alright guys, and now I'm gonna be showing you some active gameplay on how we properly utilize our Cryomancer. So whenever we can, after a long rest, we need to activate our Kreshka's Favor, particularly the Frost of the Dark Winter. This will provide us with resistances to cold damage, as well as additional damage for our cold spells equal to our proficiency bonus. Not to mention the additional spells that we will be getting with the Ice Storm as well as the Cone of Cold, which is pretty sweet. And don't forget guys to activate Light so that we can utilize the power of our Callous Glow Ring. Now we're gonna be utilizing the ability of the Dwegar, particularly the unlimited invisibility usage. Now we are practically ready to set up our battle. Now we're gonna be starting a battle with our Cryomancer. So as you see here, I just use a minor illusion to our enemies and made them clump up as nicely as possible so we can AoE them down as quickly as we can. So for this turn, I'll be starting with an Arcane Battery plus Quicken Spell, as well as utilizing Ice Storm as quickly as possible. So I'll just use Quicken Spell plus Arcane Battery plus Ice Storm to deal as much damage as we can in a single turn. So for this turn, I will be using Hunger of Hadar, so for us to deal AoE damage as well as blinding the enemies every single turn. So Hunger of Hadar, and after that is we will be using Cone of Cold, just because there is a really good position in our enemies and for us to CC them as much as we can. So we're just using here. Now it's time for us to move our Cryomancer. For this turn, we will be utilizing the power of our Ice Storm once again for us to deal more damage to our enemies. So I'll be using Ice Storm here. We just took down a couple of enemies and a few of them already died. Now we're just repositioning ourselves to a more advantageous position. Now we'll be moving our Cryomancer once again, and we'll just try to Eldritch Blast this dude here that's chasing us. That is dead, and we will be ending our turn. Now we will be repositioning our Hunger of Hadar for us to have total advantage against our enemies. So we'll just put the Hunger of Hadar here. Then we can end our turn. Now we'll be using a spell, which is the Ice Knife, for us to deal ice damage to our opponents in AoE.
Have made me your enemy.
Now they're dead. Now an Eldritch Blast maybe, just for us to push our enemies further to the center of our Hunger of Hadar. Ending our turn. Alright guys, thank you for watching the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the Cryomancer. It is a really powerful ice mage that you can utilize with your party particularly solo or honor mode. And what do you guys think about the build? I'm really curious about what is your best Cryomancer build that you're thinking about, including your questions and clarifications in a comment down below. And don't forget guys to hit that like button. It really lets me know that you guys are enjoying the series, particularly the build videos. Shoutouts for all the people who subscribe, who keep supporting the channel. I really appreciate you guys for all your amazing support. Thank you so much for watching my videos. And for all the people who haven't subscribed yet, thank you so much guys for watching the show. And I'm hoping I can earn your subscription in the future. But if I earn it today, please don't hesitate to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out a lot. And that's it for me. I hope to see you soon on the next Master Box Show. Peace out. Bye guys.